The case of Armin Meiwes, the Rotenburg cannibal. Armin Meiwes, often referred to as the Rotenburg cannibal, gained international notoriety for one of the most bizarre and disturbing criminal cases in modern history. In 2001, Meiwes killed and partially consumed a willing victim, Bernd Brandis, in what is one of the rare documented cases of consensual cannibalism. The case shocked the world not only because of its gruesome nature but also due to the unsettling fact that the victim had voluntarily agreed to be killed and eaten. Background of Armin Meiwes. Armin Meiwes was born on December 1, 1961, in Kassel, Germany. He grew up in a troubled household, where his father was distant and eventually left the family when Meiwes was 8 years old. Meiwes was left with his overbearing and controlling mother, who restricted his social life and isolated him from other children. This lack of interaction led Meiwes to create an imaginary brother and develop a fascination with control, death, and cannibalism at a young age. As he grew older, Meiwes's cannibalistic fantasies intensified. He dreamed of consuming someone to feel closer to them, viewing it as a way to bond on the deepest level. He led a seemingly ordinary life, working as a computer technician and maintaining a low profile. However, beneath the surface, Meiwes harbored a dark obsession that would later manifest in horrifying ways. The search for a willing victim. In the late 1990s, Meiwes turned to the internet to find an outlet for his disturbing desires. He became involved in online forums dedicated to cannibalism and extreme fetishes, where people would discuss their fantasies of being eaten or eating others. It was in one of these forums that Meiwes posted an advertisement looking for someone who would be willing to be slaughtered and consumed. The ad read, "Looking for a well-built man, 18 to 30, to be slaughtered and then consumed." To the shock of many, several individuals responded to his post, though many backed out when they realized that Meiwes was serious about his intentions. However, in early 2001, he received a response from Bernd Brandis, a 43-year-old engineer from Berlin. Brandis shared Meiwes's cannibalistic desires, but from the opposite perspective. He fantasized about being killed and eaten. After several email exchanges, Brandis agreed to meet Meiwes in his home in Rotenburg, a small town in central Germany. The murder and cannibalism of Bernd Brandis. On March 9, 2001, Bernd Brandis traveled to Meiwes's home in Rotenburg. What followed was a horrifying sequence of events that would later be detailed in court. The entire incident was recorded on video by Meiwes, further adding to the chilling nature of the case. Upon arriving at Meiwes's home, Brandis made it clear that he wanted to go through with the plan. Initially, they attempted to amputate Brandis's penis so they could consume it together. Brandis took large doses of painkillers and alcohol to numb the pain, and Meiwes tried to sever the organ. However, after several failed attempts, the two were only able to cook the dismembered part, but it was reportedly too tough to eat. As Brandis's condition worsened from blood loss, Meiwes eventually decided to kill him to end his suffering. He stabbed Brandis in the throat, killing him. Afterward, Meiwes hung Brandis's body on a meat hook and proceeded to butcher him, cutting the body into pieces and storing parts of it in his freezer. Over the next several months, Meiwes consumed about 40 pounds of Brandis's flesh, preparing it with various spices and accompaniments. He described the experience as fulfilling a lifelong desire, though he later stated that it did not provide the emotional connection he had hoped for. Discovery and arrest. Meiwes's crime went unnoticed for several months until he made the mistake of posting on the same cannibalism forum, looking for another victim. His posts caught the attention of a suspicious internet user, who alerted the police. In December 2002, authorities raided Meiwes's home, where they discovered videotapes of the murder, along with human remains stored in his freezer. Meiwes was arrested, and during interrogation, he calmly confessed the killing of Bernd Brandis, explaining that the act had been consensual, and that Brandis had willingly participated in his own death. The trial and sentencing. The trial of Armin Meiwes began in December 2003 and garnered massive media attention worldwide due to the bizarre and disturbing nature of the case. One of the key questions during the trial was whether Meiwes could be convicted of murder, given that his victim had willingly consented to the act. Initially, Meiwes was charged with manslaughter and sentenced to 8.5 years in prison in 2004. Since Brandis had voluntarily participated in his own killing. However, due to public outrage and the sheer brutality of the crime, the prosecution appealed the decision, arguing that Meiwes should be convicted of murder. In a retrial in 2006, Meiwes was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. The court determined that despite Brandis's consent, Meiwes had committed murder for his own sexual gratification, and Brandis's willingness to die did not absolve him of responsibility. Meiwes has since expressed regret for his actions, claiming that he no longer harbors cannibalistic desires. Psychological profile. Armin Meiwes's case is one of the most disturbing examples of extreme paraphilias, specifically virariphilia, a sexual fetish for being eaten or eating others, and necrophilia, sexual attraction to corpses. Psychologists have noted that Meiwes's actions were driven by a deep sense of abandonment and loneliness stemming from his childhood, particularly his relationship with his controlling mother and the absence of his father. Meiwes viewed the act of cannibalism as a way to forge a deep, permanent connection with another person. He believed that by consuming Brandis's flesh, he could somehow keep a part of him forever. However, after the murder, Meiwes admitted that the experience did not bring the fulfillment he had hoped for, suggesting that his desires were more rooted in fantasy than reality. Impact and legacy. The case of Armin Meiwes continues to be one of the most notorious and discussed examples of consensual cannibalism in modern criminal history. It raised difficult legal and ethical questions about consent, mental illness, and the limits of personal freedom. While Brandis had agreed to be killed, the court ultimately ruled that his consent did not justify Meiwes's actions. The case also highlighted the dangers of the internet as a place where extreme fetishes and violent fantasies could be nurtured. Meiwes and Brandis's meeting through online forums underscored how technology could facilitate the meeting of individuals with shared, deviant desires, leading to real-world harm. Meiwes's story has since been the subject of numerous documentaries, books, and films, including the 2006 German film Rotenburg, also known as Grim Love in English-speaking countries, which dramatizes the case.